Very, very good evening, everyone. Charles here, FrgntForex.com, Frgnt Mastery, and of course, Frgnt Daily Chart Analysis. The date, Wednesday the 18th of February 2026, and the time, 25 minutes to 9 here in Milano. So, pound CAD shorts, a decent result. We have finally closed around about 2.77% to be exact. That's changed ever so slightly, but have my word, 2.77%. Now, the first question, was this forecasted earlier? Well, let's have a look at Frgnt Daily Chart Analysis. And as we can see, let's have a look at what we have. Pound CAD, where are we? Pound CAD, where are we? Here we are, 13 hours ago. We had potentially forecasting shorts from in and around these highs, particularly from a 4-hour order block. Nevertheless, let's have a look at the charts to see where we got to. So the 4-hour order block, where are we? Let's have a look on that time frame. Price, in fact, did not get there. So what a great example of how to stay in flow with the markets and adapt when you see your setup and entry criteria pop up to itself or pop up or show its face to you before an area of which you were initially considering. Now let's have a look to understand why that trade was taken. Well, we can see a low was created in the market, and the full breakdown is provided in a separate video beforehand, of which I hope you have viewed. Nevertheless, that low was created in the market, providing us first and foremost a potential setup. Was still every reason to believe that price was willing to pop up higher, particularly into that daily 50 MA, previous daily highs before then that rejection. However, with that said, this 15-minute order block point of interest was confirmed as a result of this low in market that was created. So after that lower low, of course, I'm expecting a lower high of some sort on those higher time frames as well to align before potentially a lower low continuation. Can I guarantee the lower low continuation? Absolutely not. But what I can guarantee with as minimal trading error as possible is a solid plan, a solid strategy, followed by a solid and fixed rigid entry criteria, of which was followed to the T. Now, as I've mentioned previously, it is the job of the trader first and foremost. Although it sounds cliche, many miss this step. Understand where you are on those higher time frames. Develop the skill that will allow you to forecast where you do believe price could head in that direction on those higher time frames. And as I'm continuously telling those in Frgnt Mastery, as well as the free Frgnt groups on Telegram, is that just because you have mastered the skill of locating those points of interest where you do believe there is a potential for price to turn around from, that does not unfortunately give you the green light to enter the trade. All that suggests is there is a potential setup that could well be playing out towards your favor. However, the final part of the string, the last piece to the puzzle, is to understand your entry criteria. Not only will that safeguard you against taking potential losses against your plan, that will also give you something to hang your hat upon. When you are faced with the criteria that you have your setup in front of you, does that mean enter straight away? Absolutely not. Of course, there are techniques within Frgnt Mastery where you are able to set limit orders. Of course, we will utilize every type of entry that is available on MT5 and MT4, whether that is a buy limit, a sell limit, instant execution, or we are simply waiting for anything else in between. It is most certainly covered, but I do believe, and I'm a great advocate of understanding that there is, of course, a time and a place for every particular type of entry criteria. So nevertheless, the setup provided, the entry criteria presented, and as you'll see, I closed that position out at 2.77% return on the investment. Now, being Mr. Transparency that I am, my full take profit was down to fill Asia. As a result of having the higher time frame 50 EMAs on side, of which would more often than not be my targets. However, in this position, they were in fact supporting my short by way of 4-hour 50 EMA, by way of previous daily high imbalance, and by way of that daily 50 EMA, all supporting price, or I should say all resisting a particular area in order to support rather my short position on Gbpcad. Now the dilemma that I had, well, I'm 2.77% up on a particular trade. I'm willing, or am I willing, is the first question I had to ask myself. Am I willing to risk 2.77%? I've held the trade for all of my trading period this afternoon. I'm feeling incredibly under the weather and wish to go to bed and not have to manage my position throughout the night. And then just to emphasize, has my job already been done as a trader? I forecasted direction of the higher time frame. I've awaited a valid setup. I've awaited an entry criteria. That trade was floating in profit pretty much past as soon as it was entered. Never went into drawdown. The idyllic scenario. Now, of course, back to that first question. Am I willing to risk 0.77% additional gain on the investment for that 2.77 that was already in my hands, banked money on the table? My answer was no. Am I an advocate of deviating from the plan? Absolutely not. Should I have been micromanaging my trade whilst eating dinner, feeling under the weather, feeling sorry for myself? Again, absolutely not. Will I have to journal that entire process and understand that there was a deviation from the plan for certain mitigating factors? Of course I will, and I'm just finishing up my journal now before finally heading to sleep. So nevertheless, as I've mentioned, Mr. Transparency, the trade has been closed out now, 2.77%, and as I mentioned previously, the job has been done in terms of higher time frame, where are we going, setup, entry criteria. So there's the end result. Will it hit the Asia lows to fill before potential rejection back toward the upside? I am probably going to be asleep before that occurs. So nevertheless, I'd like to thank you all for your support across all channels, in particular Frgntforex.com. And as I always say, if you can understand the charts, understand my strategy based on the chart analysis that is provided pretty much daily, then congratulations. However, if you do wish to find out more in terms of the intricacies of what Frgnt Forex has to offer, then please do head over to the website. You will then gain access into Frgnt Mastery, as well as the free communities that are there, of which I am very much so present within. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attention. As you can see by the discipline and dedication, all trades pretty much that I take, so long as I'm not in a rush, are more than likely documented well in advance. Around 4:30 to 6:30 in the morning, I will be here conducting my Frgnt daily chart analysis, posting them here on Telegram absolutely for free. And again, as I say, the in-depth breakdowns you will indeed find on Frgntforex.com. Until then, thank you very much for your attention. I do appreciate all of your support across the channels. And again, I hope you are trading well, trading profitably. And if not, it is about time you ask yourself, why not? What can you do to improve? Is it an investment in yourself to then better your later self, of which you will indeed be thankful for? So a fixed plan, a fixed entry criteria. More often than not, there will be indeed fixed risk to reward ratios and fixed take profit areas, of which I will have to journal. Do take care, everyone. All the very best. Appreciate your support across the channels. Do take care. Charles.